Hey, g'day guys, it's Hayden from HD Auto. Following on from our previous video discussing whether or not it is worth fitting a front mount intercooler to your Toyota Hilux N70. This particular intercooler is from a brand called PDI intercoolers, and they are our favorite intercooler to fit. I thought today would be a great opportunity to make a whole another video about whether or not it's worth doing a tune to your Toyota Hilux N70, as we have one here on the dyno behind us in pretty well standard form, minus a BRC clutch, a 3-inch exhaust. So let's take a look at the results and talk about how tuning is done and what goes into it to get a perfect result with these cars. Come on over. Alrighty, so with these Toyota Hiluxes out of the box between the years of 2005 to 2015, they came out with sort of pretty close but varying amounts of horsepower. The early models had what we call an 11 code injector and a 2-plug EDU, which meant they had less fuel available to them at the injector. So they come in and hit the dyno at the wheels at about 110 to 115 horsepower. This model here, being a 2011-2012, it's going to have the 3-plug EDU and the latest iteration of the injectors being an 18 code injector, as we refer to them. That code, I'm talking about the first two numbers on the injectors, so they came out with the 11, the 13, and the 18, 11, 13, 18. So this is going to give us the largest amount of fuel available out of the box. These seem to flow the most fuel. You can push them the hardest. Even with a standard injector, we seem to be able to get them out to about 220 horsepower. Modifications, as I said, we got a clutch upgrade and we got an exhaust upgrade. For the clutches, we run and use the BRC brand of clutches. It's a must do when you're tuning your N70 Hilux. The factory clutch simply will not hold on no matter what. The later models after, think 2008, did get a bigger flywheel, which has, some of the manufacturers have made like a direct clutch replacement onto that flywheel, which seems to work okay, but not all. Standard airbox, standard intercooler, standard turbo, standard injectors, 150,000 Ks on the car. Let's talk about the numbers. I've called this section of any video now the weather report, and today is going to stay the same. We're going to call it the weather report because I feel like a news weather presenter holding up talking about the forecast behind me. Okay, so standard, this car made 138 horsepower and 330 newton meters of torque out of the box on what looked to be a 31.5-inch tire. That's exactly perfect what we want to see with a 3-inch exhaust out of the box on these. It's on the healthier side of things, as still see these as low as 125. So to see 138 out of the box, very happy with that. So that gives us heaps of room to tune from there. Now, when we're tuning these cars, what we're doing is recalibrating the factory ECU data. We have the original file, being a Toyota, and we input that into our binary editing software, whether it be a program called WinOLS, BitEdit, ECM Titanium. They all serve different functions and all have different pros and cons about them. Essentially, what we're editing is things like VNT control, the actuator, VNT limits. We're adjusting boost limits, boost control. We're changing the injection main timing a little bit. We are affecting our fuel to boost conversion tables, smoke limiters. We are changing our injection main timing, our injection point. We are changing our throttle sensitivity. We are changing MAF calibration. Even with a standard one, we do modify our MAF calibration slightly. Rail pressure, these things run pretty low out of the box, so you can actually run up to about 1800 bar of rail pressure pretty happily with these things. They do seem to be okay with it. So, as I said, 330 newton meters and 138 horsepower out of the box. The results are the following. So, tuned, we've got 195 horsepower and 540 newton meters of torque. All that torque is being made at 2000 RPM, and we're carrying over 400 newton meters of torque all the way up to 3,370 RPM. That is being made with 20 PSI boost at a 16.5 to 1 AFR. A lot of people have opinions about AFRs and what it should and shouldn't be. 16.5 to 1 on a common rail diesel engine with timing, like injection timing, control, the lot. You're gonna have a smoke-free tune, entirely safe. The other thing you need to remember, and everyone should remember when it comes to extracting horsepower out of a diesel engine and reflecting on dyno numbers, is that the AFR in the dyno is a wide open throttle AFR. So unless you drive your car around 24/7 at wide open throttle, that's when that AFR is, that's the only time that AFR matters. So that's the richest AFR it can ever possibly get. We do retain all the factory safety in the ECU in terms of, things like fuel temperature, intake temperature, air intake temperature, like talking about boost air versus air intake. We do not rescale any of those sensors or change any of their parameters because we still want the car to do things like pull fueling out when it senses the inlet air temperature on that factory top mount intercooler is exceeding its parameters, say like, you know, 80 to 90 degrees, 70, 80, 90. We want to make sure that it will start to pull fuel out in those circumstances, such as where you're going to be going up a steep incline with a car trailer or something like that towing. Obviously, if you hadn't watched our last video, that's where having a front mount intercooler will allow you to stick below those thresholds for longer, giving you more power for longer. But go back and check out the last video once you finish this one. Now, a lot of people get nervous about, is this safe for their car? The short answer is yes, it is safe for your car. Every car is going to come with its own inherent problems, okay, that you need to be aware of, irrespective, like, you know, TD42s snap cranks. These things can crack pistons. The TD, for example, it's not the tuner's fault the crank snap. On these, it's not often, although it is possible, the tuner's fault it cracks a piston. These cracked pistons on stock cars, modified cars, drag Hiluxes, everything, they can crack a piston. That goes without saying, tune or no tune. Driveline, entirely fine at that sort of power level. It all comes down to how you drive it. I don't think that it's something you need to be a whole lot worried about. If you flog it in third gear, particularly on these R151F transmissions, they are known to strip spline, so it is possible. Diffs, all good, always been the same good diff it's always been. It's not the world's strongest, it's not the world's weakest, it's just a diff. Just don't do skids, you might be all right. So now, because I know everyone wants to see it and I always get criticized when I don't do it, we're gonna run the car on the dyno and show you guys the numbers, the final results, even though I kind of talked about them. But who doesn't want to see a Hilux on the dyno? Who doesn't want to see some hard cut Limmy? Who doesn't want to see how it all works? So we're gonna run it now. If you don't already know, it's pretty simple. Rear wheel drive car only, obviously being a four-wheel drive, but it's rear wheel drive 99% of the time. There's a roller on the rear as a load cell and what's called a retarder. Probably can't say that in 2025. We got a fan blowing on the car with that intercooler that barely works, being a top mount. That dyno goes through a software under the screen and records our torque and horsepower based on math calculations. We are monitoring our boost pressure with a gauge. We are monitoring our air fuel ratio in the exhaust. We are also monitoring other things about the car, like rail pressure, intake temps, water temps, etc., via a logging program on a laptop inside the car. So let's start on the outside. We're gonna give it a run, show you guys how it all works, and see what numbers she makes on a nice, cool intercooler. So, there you go, guys. That is a N70 Toyota Hilux. Should I tune it? Got the radio down. I reckon you should. I don't know how you still have a standard Hilux. Tuning is from about $1,400 to $1,650. Generally, most shops seem to charge that for your standard single map. If you want multi-map and things like that, it starts to go up in price, up around that $2,500. So you can have 3 tunes on a switch, for example. Clutches, they're about $2.5 grand fitted, I find, generally. So you're sort of looking at that sort of around, let's call it $4 grand roughly to fit a clutch and tune one of these cars. But for the results you get, I reckon it's one of the best money you can spend. Now, to wrap it up, we're gonna give some hard cut Limmy noises. Everyone always asks for it. This car's got it, so Pasco's gonna run out, do some hard cut Limmy.